Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Baldwin. This is their part number 4676, 4-inch center-to-center wire pull, drawer pull, door pull, whatever it is, however you're going to apply it, in a 150 finish, which is satin nickel. 150 finish from Baldwin means three things. It's made of solid brass, satin nickel plating, and it has a lacquer over that satin nickel as well. Very common application for what would be called a wire pull like this would be residential applications where you want a pretty typical and common yet very high quality pull that's going to allow you to put that on top of your cabinets or your drawers. Woodworkers are also a very common client when it comes to pull handles like this because they're building the casework and they're adding the hardware, whether it be pulls or hinges or locks, things of that nature. This is made of solid brass, as I had said earlier. We call it a wire pull because it's made of wire brass. Even though it's rather thick, it's still considered wire. And the thickness of this item is 5/16, I believe. They don't tell us what it is in the description. My caliper tells me it's exactly 5/16, 0.312. Now, when you are looking at wire pulls like this, you have to start with a study of the center to center. And if you're replacing an existing, that's really where you're going to start, is the pull that you want available in the center to center. This is 4-inch. That's really important. It's going to have an overall projection of about 1.25 inches, maybe just shy on that. And a clearance of about 15/16. Okay, it's going to include a couple of 832 machine screws, truss head style, 1-inch, yeah, probably 1 inch long. This would be used typically for 3/4 inch thick drawer or cabinet fronts. If you happen to have a thicker item like a 1 3/8 bifold door, get yourself maybe some 1 3/4, or if you can find them, or 2-inch, and then snip them down in your lineman's pliers. That's how we do it. I had a customer in the old days who bought knobs, cabinet knobs from us for his bifold doors, same ones every time, same knobs every time. And he bought them from me because I would get him the longer screws and snip them down for him. So that's how you'll go about doing that. Okay. Now this is going to be available in all of the finishes that Baldwin can work with: your brasses, your bronze, your chromes, other finishes that are unique to Baldwin. Let's switch to the screen view and let's take a closer look at some supporting information. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. All right, here's the item that we are looking at. Here's some photos that we have, 4676 in the 150 finish. That's the packaging. Your two screws are up here. What's nice about Baldwin is they separate the metal from each other so that your screws don't scratch your nice finished hardware. There you go. Okay, now we talked about finishes. We have them listed here. By the time you're seeing this video, there's likely additions, changes to what is available. Now, extended description does tell us 4-inch, 1 1/8 projection, 4-inch centers, solid brass, 1-inch machine screws with a truss head. Truss head just means it's a very wide head on the screw. That would be appropriate for a wood application. Okay. Now, there is a link below this video as seen here to the manufacturer's page. From here, when you click on that, you'll be able to pull up not only all of the Baldwin products that we sell by means of this horizontal navigation as seen here, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full current product catalog. There are several and many prior versions of the catalog, different sections of their offerings, their images, their reserve, their estate, other collections that they have. I said images. They've discontinued that line. There isn't a separate catalog, although It might be buried into one of our older catalogs. Some here. Okay, pretty helpful. The Baldwin website is very handy. I like to use it because they'll get you pretty quickly into the area of what you want to look at. You know, if you want to just look at a state, just click on a state. That's their high-end mortise locks, their high-end interior sets, their finishes. I think there's a link down at the bottom of the page to finishes. Right there, finishes. Okay, they have it broken up into these categories, but they do a really great job of listing all their finishes. Baldwin is a very traditional, old-fashioned manufacturer of hardware. What I mean by that is they use their own codes. You'd have to go pre-1930 in the United States to see manufacturers really using their own codes, because at about 1930 there was a government-sponsored conference of industry-leading manufacturers to make uniform, to standardize the finish codes. Well, and they don't have an 030 anymore, but 060 would have been polished brass. 060 by Baldwin is US 4, or also known as 606. 102 is what we would know as US 10B, and the BHMA, that's 613 if it's a brass or bronze base material. Anyway, neat little stuff they have going on here. Let's wrap up this video on camera. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Now, in conclusion, very high quality piece of product here from Baldwin, and that term all runs together every single time we work with Baldwin products. I was speaking to a client yesterday, actually, yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago, and they had ordered, client has a pair of doors, and they have Baldwin Estates on the active and the inactive. They have a design on the active, which was the Minneapolis. If you looked up their estate line and then the Minneapolis trim, a really nice looking mortise lock trim, both sides of the door. Active, entrance function on the one side on the active door, full dummy on the inactive door. And all they were doing was ordering the interior plates alone, because they wanted to replace those. They were going for some two-tone finish. They ordered the material in 056 finish. Antique brass, maybe? No, way off. way off. Satin nickel. A lifetime satin nickel is what they ordered. And their knobs were staying the same finish, whatever they were originally. So they were doing some two-tone thing, which could look pretty cool. And the client had a question about the Baldwin part numbers. And I've spent years working with Baldwin, so I've become comfortable with how to put all the pieces together. When you order a passage set, unfortunately, it needs to be broken down by someone. Here's the knob, here's the rose, here's the strike, here's the latch, and there's options in all of those, and the door thickness, and the hole adapter if you need that. The upside of learning how all those part numbers go is you get lots of options as the end user. Well, the client was using this part number and felt like they had ordered it incorrectly, and it turns out they did, and we were able to fix that. But we got onto the topic of, a lot of people don't buy Baldwin because it's expensive, and they'll go with another lower cost manufacturer. And I had suggested the reason I go with them is because it's such high quality, which the client wholeheartedly agreed. But from my perspective as a distributor, their technical support puts others to shame. And everyone is, major manufacturers are pretty good with tech support, but Baldwin goes above and beyond. It is not uncommon for a customer to call them and say, I have a broken spring. Can you help? Tell me the part number and where I can go buy it from. The next thing out of that, and I'm not saying they're going to do this when you call them, but it's not uncommon for them, the next thing for them to say, what's your address? I'll mail you one. And you just don't get that from people. What I forgot to point out to you was on that manufacturer's page in the upper left-hand area, I know that I have some old Baldwin catalogs. Right now, I have one uploaded from 1976, and I know that I have another Baldwin catalog that might be early 80s, yet to be uploaded. One thing that we do is we accumulate and upload archival old antique catalogs from all manufacturers and hardware. It's nice to be able to go back in time and look at that stuff. Baldwin hasn't really changed much in their estates line at all. In fact, about 3 years ago, I called Baldwin because I had a client who called me and said, I need 2 new mortise locks. Why do you need 2 new mortise locks? What's wrong with the ones you have? I'm thinking it's Baldwin. They probably work just fine. He says, a spring broke. I says, oh, okay. What year do you think? What year was the house built? 1976, he says. I says, okay, well, that's pretty old. That's 40 plus years old. I said, you know what, let me do this before I, it's easy to take your money. It's easy to take several hundreds of dollars and ship you new mortise cases. I says, before we do this, let me call Baldwin. They're exceptional when it comes to tech support. Called Baldwin, the second person I spoke to. Person who answers the phone, they can do tech support. But this was something that was in this other person's wheelhouse. Spoke to the second person. They asked me, what color is the lock case? I said, blue. I'm looking at a picture of it. I said, he says, yep. I worked on the line back in 1976. I probably put that lock together, he says. What's your address? I'll mail you a spring. Turns out the spring they used in the year 2019, or whatever year it was, 2017, was the same spring they used in 1976. I'd imagine better material science. And that client was able to salvage several hundreds of dollars of material for that. Now, you buy hardware from somebody else, you're not getting that sort of spring, in my opinion. You're going to spend a lot more money possibly up front with Baldwin, especially if you have a home that's larger, because as that home goes from 2,000 to 3,000 to 8,000 square feet, you get that 3,000 area, it just goes in orders of magnitude more expensive with Baldwin because you have so many more doors. But what's it worth 20 years down the road when you can get tech support on a spring? Take that into calculation before you consider someone other than Baldwin. Sorry to ramble on. This is just a wire pull. Any questions on the 4676 or any other Baldwin product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.